Hello, my name is Taylor. I'm a financial coach here at Evolving Money. My specialty is helping individuals, couples, and business owners create good budgets and cash flow systems so that they can succeed with their personal finances. I started working and training to be a financial advisor. I got my degree in personal financial planning, went ahead and got my certified financial planner license and designation. But at the end of the day, I really found a passion in helping folks figure out the cash flow systems, the budgeting and the spending, how to align their spending with the values, pay off debt, and save more money. So I became an accredited financial counselor and have been focusing on coaching and budgeting ever since, leaving the world of financial advisor behind. Most people are more familiar with financial advisors. They often go to a financial advisor to get this kind of help, but the advisor is usually not equipped to help with cash flow situations. Most advisors don't have the knowledge and expertise, and they also don't have the time or the method of charging for this kind of service. And so they have to either not provide it at all, or they let clients go if they need this kind of help. And here's the thing, most people do not have cash flow figured out in various stages of life. You might have had it figured out in one part of your life, but then, things change, job change, you move, you grow your family, things change, and the cash flow can get out of whack. And so that is why I help my clients figure out their budget so that they can achieve their financial goals. One of the biggest questions that I get asked all the time is, what is the best budgeting app? And I would love to help you figure that out. I'd love to help you go through the criteria that I help my clients determine what is the best budgeting app for them. But before we get started, I want to talk about this caveat here. There's a big piece of choosing the right budgeting app, and it is the fact that there is no such thing as a perfect budgeting app. There is no such thing, it doesn't exist. The budgeting apps are going to be different for everyone, and the capabilities, the technology, the features are all going to tailor to very different needs. So if you've been jumping around between budgeting apps, if you've been hopping around between different budgeting apps and you're thinking, why aren't any of these working for me? I'm not getting my debt paid off faster. I'm not saving anymore. What is happening? Well, here's the issue. If you don't have a good solid budgeting foundation in place, there is no app that is going to work for you. There's no such thing. The app is a facilitator, an implementer of a good budgeting app or a good budget. So if you don't have a good budget in place, no app is going to work for you. And what I mean by a good budget, I mean you know exactly how much you need to be setting aside for your goals, how to implement and create a solid debt payoff plan, how much to be spending on all the categories that you have in your life, how much to be setting aside for expenses like Christmas, anniversaries, travel costs. All of these goals that you may have need to be determined before you can really find success in a budgeting app. Now, that might sound a little counterintuitive. You're like, well, a budgeting app helps me create a budget, right? And that is true. Sometimes budgeting apps, you need to start getting data so that you can create your budgeting app. So it's not like a chicken or the egg thing. They kind of work simultaneously, hand in hand, one before the other, and then in the middle and vice versa, whatever, okay? You might need to get a budgeting app in order to create your budgeting foundation. But the only way the budgeting app will actually work is if you create that budgeting foundation and then use the app to implement it. So that is the big caveat here. If you are having trouble creating a solid budgeting foundation, please check out the description of the video so that you can get the resources that I have to help you create the foundation you need in order to make any of these apps work for you. But I will go through the criteria that I help all my clients determine what budgeting app is right for them. This video is not comparing different budgeting apps necessarily, though I will compare a few budgeting apps for examples. This video is mostly just the criteria that you need to be searching for in order to find the right budgeting apps. The budgeting ones that I'm going to share with you today are not comprehensive by any means. There's tons of budgeting apps out there that you need to be exploring on your own, or looking through the videos that I have on my YouTube channel where I do comparison videos of the various budgeting apps. So to get started, the first thing that you need to be looking for is the usability and the interface of the app, how it looks, how it feels, what the automations are, how to actually navigate within the app. These are all critical features that will be the difference between you sticking to your budget and leaving it to the side and never logging in again. If the app is not visually appealing, if you don't understand what the buttons are doing or how it's working, you're never going to stick with this budgeting app. It's why a lot of people people just stick with spreadsheets because it's comfortable and safe and familiar and they know how to work a spreadsheet. But the budgeting app, you can get there. It's going to be complicated at first. It's going to be a big lift, but if the interface looks good and you enjoy the layout, then you're going to be a lot more likely to actually learn the system, right? So all of these budgeting apps have a very unique look and feel to them. This is a really easy thing to like Google and YouTube just to figure out like what it actually looks like when you pull up the app on your phone or on the desktop. Very easy to do some research in that regard as you're looking for your perfect budgeting app. The other thing that you need to be aware of is just the automation, to go hand in hand with that first bullet point here. The automation is what is going to help you stick to your budgeting app for the long run. Whether it's a busy few months, the business gets busy, your life gets busy, and you're not able to be in your budgeting app tracking expenses, your budgeting app should be able to do most of the heavy lifting for you when life gets a little crazy. So you definitely want an app that's going to connect to your bank accounts and automatically pull the data and transactions from your bank accounts. Now there's various levels of automation that are going to work differently for everyone, and I want to walk through what those look like. So most people don't really necessarily, or not everyone, I want to say most people, some people don't want their app to automatically connect to their bank account, and that's totally fine. You don't have to. There's lots of apps, and every app, in fact, you can manually enter in everything. You can put in a manual account and manually enter every transaction. But for most of my clients, most people are way too busy to enter in hundreds of transactions, and they're not. Then life gets busy, so they're not keeping up with it every day. So when they look at it at the end of the month, it's like, okay, it's overwhelming, and you're probably never going to get back into it. So I always suggest just getting an app that can automatically sync with your bank accounts. Now, there's various levels of automations for your budgeting app. Monarch Money is extremely automated, meaning like the categorization and the rules you can set means that there's very little you need to do to actually go in and categorize. Like it's not going to recognize if the Amazon purchase was a gift or not. That's definitely still up to you. But for just about everything, it's going to put it in the category that you've either set rules to or the AI and the automations are already recognizing. YNAB, you can set up rules and it does recognize categories, but it still makes you manually go in and like verify the category is correct. So there's a little bit of a manual process, which is really, really good if you have any kind of like spending, if spending's getting out of hand and you're trying to reduce spending in a very diligent way. The more manual it is to categorize things, the more mindful it forces you to be. So that could be a really good thing for you. That's why YNAB and every dollar is really big on this. It really puts the categorization on your shoulders, meaning you need to be the one to go in there and categorize so that you're very hyper aware of all the expenses that are coming in and out of your life and that you can make changes when necessary. Apps like Quicken Simplifi, very similar to Monarch, it is automated. It automatically categorizes for you. Same with Rocket Money. So some apps, very, very automated. Others like Every Dollar and YNAB, somewhat automated, still involves a manual look at everything going on so that you are hyper aware of what's going in and out every month. YNAB and Every Dollar both require you to kind of create your budget every month. They require you to go in, set your budget, be really mindful, automate things as they go. Monarch and Quicken, you can set it and forget it. You can set up your budget and you're just going to try to stick to it every month that you're implementing that plan. The next big criteria for you to be aware of is the reporting and insights that you can get from a budgeting app. This is so critical to being able to spot trends, see what past data is like, see if you're actually sticking to the budget that you've set for yourself. You need to be able to get good reports out of your budgeting app, and some budgeting apps are better reports than others. And what I mean by reports is I mean that you can run and get data on the total amounts over a period of time or how things change over time based on any category or group of categories that you want to see, whether it's maybe just your bills and how they change over the year, or if you just want to see what your food budgets look like during the year. You can get that data inside your budgeting app, then this is a great budgeting app, in my opinion. The reporting feature is just so critical to actually maintaining good insights for the long run. So some apps are better than others with reporting, and some of them, most of them work about the same way. It's just some of them, again, have just like different layouts. Like YNAB's reporting is very spreadsheety. I mean, they have graphs and like they've updated a lot since recently, but so a lot of their reports are very graph oriented, or sorry, spreadsheet oriented. So if you don't like looking at spreadsheets, you may not like YNAB's reporting features. So that's why it's important to go test out the various reporting features of these apps to see which one resonates with you and which one's the easiest to pull. I really like Monarch Money's, but Quicken Simplifi is very similar to Monarch Money, almost the same kind of reporting features. Every Dollar has great reporting features. Like, they all have great reporting features, but you'll just want to find the one that works best for you. Next is the customization. If you are not able to delete categories, rename categories, change categories, you are going to hate your budgeting app. It causes so much clutter. We want categories that are very relevant to you. For example, in Monarch Money, you can drag and drop these categories. You can rename the groups. You can add and create categories based on what is important to you, like a hobby that you enjoy, changing the emoji even to represent that hobby. It's very customizable, and you can delete anything that isn't relevant to you. If you don't have tools, you can disable this category, right? So that was a big complaint for me with Mint. If you're a Mint refugee, you might have been in a similar situation where the massive amount of categories and the inability to delete them may have drove you crazy, and it absolutely drove me crazy. I did not like Mint's categories, but a lot of apps, if they don't allow you to delete the categories that are not relevant to you, honestly, I would leave the app. Like, that is just not, I don't want the clutter. It really reduces the amount of insights you're able to get, and so I just don't think it's worth it. But most apps are going to be able to let you customize in some degree. I honestly would recommend not letting price stop you from the app of your choice. If the app itself causes you to rethink and maybe not go out to eat one time in the year, it has paid for itself, okay? So most of these apps are all very affordable in the grand scheme of things if you're actually diligent and sticking to your budgets that you've created. Again, remember, the app is not going to create a perfect budget. You still have to work on creating that budget foundation. The app will be there to help you implement. And the app itself, and with the implementation process, should save you hundreds more than what you're paying for in the app. And so I wouldn't let price be a barrier for you. So a couple overviews of a few apps that I really recommend. Monarch Money, really great for automations and being able to be completely flexible with the way you budget. Now, another key point in budgeting is that every budgeting app is going to have its own philosophy. It's going to push a budgeting philosophy on you that is relevant to the way they've designed their app, and every app is a little different. So a lot of people have heard of zero-based budgeting, envelope budgeting, and all those kinds of things. Well, each app is normally designed to imitate some form of philosophy around budgeting. And so that's another really key piece to look for, because if you have your own version of how you want to budget, then some of these apps may not work for you. Monarch Money is really flexible in the way you can budget. It is generally based on kind of a set it and forget it budget, but you can absolutely do zero-based budgeting within this app. It's very flexible in the way you can budget. You can be very diligent with it. You can also be very passive with it. It's very, very flexible. YNAB really requires you to be involved in your budget constantly. It's very much focused on that zero-based budgeting. Every dollar that comes in gets assigned. You have to strategize for it. Be very, very mindful with your budgeting process. And so if that sounds like too much work for you, you may not like YNAB very much. Every dollar is also going to push a structure on you based on how to look at your budgeting, looking at your bills and your debt payments versus like your variable expenses, and will also be a little bit more requiring of you to be involved every month. You have to kind of create your new budget every month. I think you can create a template, but it does really want you to come and create your budget every single month. Quicken Simplifi builds your budget based on your bills and subscriptions and your goals and savings transfers, and then whatever's left over you can create and be flexible with your budgets. This is also the way I tend to look at budgeting. I like to look at your fixed bills, your variable bills, and then the non-monthly things, the things that are not happening every month, like Christmas, birthdays, travel, and all of that stuff. And Quicken Simplifi does that as well as Monarch. Most of these can be set up to be in that regard, but Quicken Simplifi kind of forces that with the way they have their budget laid out for you. Rocket Money is a very basic budget. It's very, very basic, and that also means very simple and easy to kind of look at. And so again, very flexible there. But again, each budgeting app will have its own philosophy. So as you start to look into the different comparison videos that I have, really doing a deep dive on each of these budgeting apps, I will show you what those philosophies are, how to manipulate them, how to change them to match your own mindset around budgeting, and also which ones are going to work for you. So be sure to check out those more in-depth videos and comparison videos. Check out their videos on YouTube for these comparisons, but those are the few things that you're going to be wanting to pay attention to as you pick a budgeting app for you. I hope that was helpful. If it was, make sure you subscribe to see more of the in-depth comparison videos. Make sure you leave a comment. I love to hear from you. And if you do need help with the process of actually creating a budget that your budgeting app can implement on, please make sure you check the description of the video for the links on the information that you need to start creating your budgeting foundation. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.